treasure of Lady Ika. Once upon a time there was a young princess known in the king's court as Lady Ika. Even though she was still young, all who saw her marveled at her great beauty. Most only knew this by rumor, however, since she rarely left the castle. Her mother died in childbirth, and her father was often exploring distant lands which, he said, were far too dangerous for a young princess. An only child, she filled most of her days in her father's treasury. In this magnificent room there were objects from his many adventures from around the world. There were splendid carpets from the east, many shields and full armor from the north, bookcases filled with more books than one could ever read from the nations of the west, and great statues and paintings from the southern countries. It seemed like every day there was a new object to find, and even though it delighted her greatly to go on these small adventures, she always felt sad to be so alone. She missed her father and mother, even though she had never met her. One day, on her usual trip to the treasury, her sadness was very deep in her heart. Often when the loneliness is so great, she goes to her favorite painting, and so she did that day. Of all the treasures her father had gathered, this painting was her favorite. It was a painting of a young boy about the same age as she. His eyes had a friendly glimmer, and even though it was only a painting, she frequently talked to him about herself, her dreams, and all the pain she felt in her heart. "Maybe someday my father will take me on a journey," she spoke to the painting. But what use would he have for a fragile girl on his great adventures? She began to cry, feeling abandoned and alone. "If only you were real, I could at last have a friend to call my own." Just as she finished saying this, a voice called out to her, "Lady Ika, I have heard your cries, and perhaps I can help." Lady Ika looked around, puzzled and frightened. She could not see who was speaking. "Who are you?" she asked. "I am a spirit from before your world ever was. I can command the stars to move and the winds to blow. I also have the power to grant life to the boy in the painting, if you wish it to be so." "Of course I wish it to be so," she said excitedly. "Will you grant me this favor?" "Yes, but on one condition. You must teach him what is of the greatest value in all the earth. If in 3 days and nights he has not learned this thing, you shall go and replace him in the painting, and there be still and lifeless." Even though she was afraid of being turned into a lifeless painting, she was also so tired of being alone that she agreed to the condition of the powerful spirit. "At tomorrow's light it shall be done," the spirit said. For the rest of the day, Lady Ika was filled with such great excitement and expectation that she knew at once what must be the most valuable thing in the world. The thing is pleasure, she thought, and she was greatly filled with it, and slept soundly. At morning's first light, Lady Ika rose and went quickly to the treasury, where she beheld a remarkable sight. The painting was blank, and lying in front of it was the boy, alive and breathing deeply as he slept. She went to him and woke him up eagerly. He sat up and looked at Lady Ika. "Good morning," he said slowly. "You look familiar." "Good morning. I am Lady Ika. What is your name?" He looked up curiously, as if trying to remember. "The name Johann comes to mind," he said. "Sir Johann," she repeated. "What a lovely name." "So, how did I come to be here?" he asked. Lady Ika explained to him about the painting, her father, and the deal she made with the spirit. She was surprised to learn how much Johann already knew about her. It happened that the times she used to speak to the painting he could remember. "So if I do not learn the most valuable thing in the world in 3 days, you will be trapped in the painting? How will I be able to do that in only 3 days? Do not some people go their whole lives never learning this thing?" "There's nothing to worry about," Lady Ika said. "I already know it, and I'll show it to you right now." She took Johann by the hand and ran with him to the castle kitchen. Johann's face brightened as he saw cookies and cakes, pies and pot roast, and the smell of fresh baked bread. "Take anything you want," Lady Ika said. "You are my royal guest." It didn't take long for Johann to devour everything he could and more. "Isn't this the greatest thing, doing whatever you like?" she asked. Well, I admit it was a wonderful thing at first, but now my stomach hurts. Well, that won't last forever, so you can do it again later, she responded. That's good, but shouldn't the greatest thing last forever? The first cookie I had was great, but then I wanted another. The second was good, but not as great as the first. And the third wasn't even close. I think we'll have to look for something greater than just pleasure. Lady Ika thought about this for the rest of the day, and when Johann was sleeping by the blank painting, she had an idea. The next morning she woke up with a smile on her face. You look happy, Johann said. Aren't you worried about the spirit? We only have 2 days more. There's nothing to worry about, Lady Ika said. I now know what is the greatest thing. You said it should last forever. The greatest thing is surely honor. Even after you die, if you've done good things, you'll be remembered. Your honor lasts forever. This sounded like a great idea to Johann, so he and Lady Ika filled their pockets with as much gold as they had, and went into the town, where they met many people who had little money or even food. They generously gave their wealth. All the while people spoke well of them, saying they were heroes and saviors. Finally they ran out of gold, and sat down together to get a moment's rest. Surely now we've done enough in the kingdom to be remembered forever, Lady Ika said. It is true, what we did today felt far better than the pleasure of yesterday, yet I'm still worried. Many people now honor us for the good things we did, but now I care less for the honor than for simply doing the good things. And if I want to do more good, we'll need more money. As Lady Ika and Johann went back to the castle, she thought about his words for the rest of the day, and when Johann was sleeping by the blank painting, she had an idea. The third day, she awoke with a smile on her face. You look happy, Johann said. Aren't you worried about the spirit? This is, after all, the final day to find the most valuable thing. There's nothing to worry about, Lady Ika said. I now know what it is. You said we would need more money, and it became obvious to me. Money must be the greatest thing, because you can use money to get any of the other things. If you had enough of it, you could get everything that there is. This also sounded like a great idea to Johann, who said, Money is like the clay of the sculptor. It can be used to be made into anything. So it happened that they spent hours together in the town working various jobs for money. They joked and laughed and even played games while they worked. When they returned to the castle, the sun began to fade behind the distant mountains, and then came the night. Just as the cool air began to move and the light of the first star glimmered in the sky, the voice of the spirit came and said to Lady Ika and Johann, 3 days have come and gone. Tell me, Lady Ika, what have you taught Johann to be the greatest thing in the world? Well, at first I was sure it was pleasure, to do whatever you want, she started to say. But you were wrong about that, and now I must take you into the painting where you cannot ever move. Wait, Lady Ika exclaimed. That is not what Johann learned is the greatest thing, for pleasure doesn't last forever. So then I thought it must be honor, to live on forever for the good deeds you've done. But that is also wrong, said the spirit. Shall I now take you to be in the painting? No, for Johann noticed that the good things we did were better than the honor people gave us for doing them. So then I thought it must be money, because money can be used to get any good thing, even honor. Is that not correct, Great Spirit? Can we now go freely? No, said the spirit. Money is not the greatest thing. You were wrong to think it could buy anything. You cannot buy the wind or the rain. You cannot buy friendship or family. Now come, we must go to the painting, for it would seem Johann has not been taught the greatest thing. Together Lady Ika and Johann went to the painting, and just as Lady Ika was about to say goodbye, Johann spoke loudly to the hidden spirit. Surely 3 days is too few, Great Spirit, to learn of the greatest thing in this vast world. But here I shall make you a bargain. Allow Lady Ika her normal life, and send me to the painting in her place, for it saddens me too greatly to see her go. After Johann's words left his mouth, there was a terrible and long silence. What would this spirit decide? At long last the voice again came. With all your might, Lady Ika, you tried to teach Johann the greatest thing in the world. Although you thought you failed, you have truly succeeded. It was not by your thinking that you found the answer, but rather through your friendship. You inspired in Johann the true greatest thing, love. Love that treats others as more important than yourself, as God himself loves the world. Go and be free. With that, the spirit was gone, not to be heard from again. Lady Ika and Sir Johann, however, grew up together for many years and became king and queen of the kingdom. They were honored for their great generosity to the poor, as they not only held banquets for them, but personally served the food to them. They never were tempted to treat their own pleasure or honor or money as more important than simply to love. Having many children and years together, they lived happily ever after. The end.